Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. It's the Super Bowl celebration edition. My name is Dan. I am joined with Shane and Jack as normal. And this week we are going to discuss and celebrate the Shula Bowl, really revel in the victory, and talk a little bit about the upcoming Western Kentucky game. And I guess we'll dig right into it. This was a bit of relief. It felt really good to kind of completely dominate a team again, especially when that domination is FIU. It was nice to see that, really this is what we experienced all of last year. And again, it was great to see, but also, at the end of it and now kind of sitting back, you can see it's frustrating because we know that this is there, that's always been right there. We've had the potential and capabilities to do it. FIU, already a bowl eligible team, still sitting pretty in Conference USA East, where we wish we were, but it was nice to put them in their place and to know that we can still do those things. So, Shane, what was your kind of first reaction as far as what happened?
Well, it felt good because FIU fans somehow had this idea that it was their year and they were somehow on the same run we were last year. And I've been saying all year they're a fraud. And all the sports books, and a lot of the money was on us this past week. And the spread opened at -3.5, and it went down all the way to 1. People were betting us. I think people kind of just realized that FIU is beating a lot of bad teams close. And FIU finally put together a complete game. I saw a lot of interesting things. We'll obviously talk about the quarterback. I was there, had a really good time with some Al fans that I don't tailgate with every week for the crew that went down there. But, I saw a lot of really interesting things on the sideline that kind of led to DeAndre being put in the game. Yeah,
we were talking about that before the podcast. Why don't you talk about why you think DeAndre ended up getting into the game after Robinson being taken out?
Lane said some interesting things. First, Lane did say that Robinson was still having some trouble moving around on the ankle. I remember there's just a particular play where FAU came out, and I think there was man coverage, and John Mitchell was on the far side. And I believe this was what Lane, I'm kind of just guessing here, was really upset about. He was like screaming, trying to get attention. I think he really wanted Chris to check into something, see a matchup that he liked. And then Chris snapped the ball, and I distinctly remember, Lane didn't even watch the play. He just threw his arms up and kind of just turned around I don't even want to watch the play because he's frustrated. He really wanted to see Chris. Chris wasn't pulled after that series. The next series he was pulled with the infamous Chris Robinson throw the ball away on fourth down trend. So, but I did see, I think kind of right before that happened, DeAndre starting to throw the ball on the sideline, kind of not like, I'm just trying to stay loose. He was throwing the ball on the sideline with that, I'm going to go in. Lane did say afterwards that there was plans to play DeAndre all week.
Yeah.
But I think, it just kind of came out. And I said before, and Eric said on the podcast last week that FIU's run defense was struggling. So I think there was maybe a quick coaches talk that's like, hey, let's just absolutely run it on this team. Let's put DeAndre in. First play he comes in, he pulls the read option and runs for over 20 yards, and the fastest we've seen a quarterback move.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
It was definitely a nice change of pace to see DeAndre in. I said it on the Nest, and you guys know I've been saying this all year long, that I am a huge believer in Robinson. I think Chris has the makeup to be a program-changing quarterback for FAU, but dude, DeAndre can get it done right now, and he proved that. As long as we can keep the ball on the ground, we're not in a situation where we need to throw it downfield like it's, say, the Marshall game in the fourth quarter of that one. Then let's give DeAndre the keys to the car and see what he does with it.
He just has to be Driscoll, like faster Driscoll. I mean,
be safe. Yeah, Driscoll is a bit inaccurate sometimes. We can see DeAndre can definitely be inaccurate, but Chris is a bit inconsistent with his accuracy as well. It's a bit better than DeAndre is, what DeAndre has, and DeAndre doesn't quite have that cannon that Chris has, but he just brings a different element, a different level of excitement that we haven't seen since Driscoll was behind center last year.
I think it's. I think it's not so much with the accuracy. I think it's just more with just doing the basic little things to put your team in the best kind of play to execute something simple.
Right.
Which is what Driscoll was a master at.
He was the best at it. Yeah.
And this offense, everyone's like, "Whoa, we don't have Bryles. The pace isn't the same." Not everyone in the country tries to run the Baylor. Well, so many teams try and run this offense, but the hard part about running this offense and why not everyone's good at it is because it's a snowball offense. All offenses are kind of snowball offenses, but in this offense, you have to move the ball to make the offense work more.
Right.
So if you can't get it started, it's not really a great offense. We have seen that this year. The whole purpose of this offense is kind of like it's pushing the rock down the hill. If you can't get it going downhill, it'll never pick up speed. And kind of your basic pro offense, you could stop, huddle, let's drop a good play. Everything in this offense is pretty basic, and it's all about the speed of it. But if you can't do the basic things right, the speed's never going to come. So that's what we were missing all year. Everyone's like, well, the pace isn't the same at all. It's like, no, we're dropping balls on 3rd and 8. So we can't run up to the line of scrimmage.
And you also need a positive play on first down.
Yeah.
You need 3 or 4 yards on first down. And last year we got that no problem. With Motor or with, obviously with Driscoll. But I think, perhaps the game really opened up when DeAndre came in. I think everybody saw that. And I think certainly his running ability, I think just either it makes FIU second guess themselves, and then that opened up just way more lanes. I mean, Kareth and Motor. There was the rushing lanes were pretty great, and then Motor being kind of the shifty and very patient runner that he is. Was able to take advantage. It was nice to see us kind of get back to our bread and butter there.
Kareth White keeps getting better.
Yeah. He could probably be the starting running back at just about every other Conference USA team. Maybe save for UAB. They have Brown is pretty solid.
I would argue, and as great as Motor is, Kareth's 1B at this point. I think it's developing. I think let's see what happens in the next few weeks. But I remember seeing them sitting on the bench next to each other after I think Kareth had his 10-yard touchdown, and I'm like, wow, we have a real 1-2 punch. Not Kareth is the change of pace special teams guy. We have a real 1-2 punch with these guys because he just runs really fast.
Yeah.
You said it someone on the message board who I talked to a lot, it said, he runs the ball like it's a kickoff return every single time. So
he finds the hole and he explodes right through it. Yeah,
so I think it's amazing. He just keeps getting better, which is kind of cool. You don't see that throughout the season. A player just improved this much.
Is he a sophomore or junior?
Junior.
He's a junior.
He's a true junior then.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because, Motor can just demoralize defenses with how many tackles he can break, how shifty he is. You just keep giving him the ball over and over again. Let's say 4 straight plays, he gets the ball, and then, boom, you put in Kareth for 2 plays, and before the defense can even blink, he's already in the secondary because he's so fast. It's not even fair with how good he is, really.
I also want to point out, and I said it to Jake Elman afterwards, I said, well, we're all wrong. We wrote DeAndre off. And I don't think any of us questioned his ability. I think there was questions going on. He's not playing. There's all this thing, and he's not getting a chance. And I legit thought that maybe there was still some lingering effects with the arm. And when we didn't put him in at the end of the La Tech game, I was like, maybe there's more to this.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next week, he
saves the game.
I'm so happy for him because I've met him a couple times. He's a really great kid. I thought he was going to be the starter before the year. I thought going into the year, he had more maturity than all the other quarterbacks. He's been through a lot. So, I thought he was going to get that opportunity there. But I'm really happy to see him just kind of because, at the La Tech game, I was just like, man, I feel bad. This kid's never going to get a chance.
Yeah.
When they put an injured Robinson back in, I said, maybe it's just there's something more. Maybe, he's not fully back. There's still lingering effects. You're thinking all these questions. And then, of course, the next week he, beats your 6-2 rival.
So something that's neat, kind of going back to how we were talking about the whole who's closest to the beach thing, and FIU being 6-2 and, getting really excited about this game, this being their biggest game in the Butch Davis era. And,
I just point out complaining about our attendance, they had under 1,000 students there.
Yeah, their student section was completely empty, without a doubt, less than 1,000. I mean, dude, come on, let's get real, 500.
So when we complain about our attendance, it's when I don't get mad. I go there and I'm just like, dude, no one at this school cares.
Dude, they have
20,000 more students than FAU.
Twice the
20,000.
enrollment. They have like 2 times the population within like a 10-mile radius. Something ridiculous like that, and no one cares. So we had our away attendance, and we didn't match their home sideline, but it was pretty close.
I don't think it was that close. We didn't travel as much. We were coming off losses. I expected some more FAU fans to be there. I don't want to spend too much time talking about this attendance thing, but
what I'm saying is just deflating their bubble, raining on their parade. After all the talking and everything, the Shula Bowl trophy is still 1.8 miles away from the beach. It's still here. That felt so good.
All their Twitters.
What's that?
I'm going to be blocked by over under 30 FIU Twitter accounts in the next year.
First off, there's not that many. Second off, just even the FIU Athletics Twitter was trying to clap all week long, and then we just blew them up after the game. Blew them up. They had their hashtag losing in paradise. Come on. The FAU football said this aged really well. And that tweet.
That was great.
This victory healed a lot of wounds, I think, for the rest of the year. And I kind of looking back on it, it's like, well, man, you're a play away from Middle Tennessee, and I think if any other quarterback started against La Tech, you win that game. And then you probably pretty much having the season you expected. Losses at UCF, Oklahoma, and Marshall. So, let's see how these last 3 games finish up. Western Kentucky should be a win this week. That team is reeling. They're really young, as Rick pointed out on the board. That was a really good post by Rick.
Yeah.
Pointing out how young they are. Kind of reminds me of when they came down here 2 years ago. And we lost 52-3. And I remember saying to someone, someone's just like, Shay, why are we so bad? And I said, well, we're a JV team. This is JV varsity. I said, do you know how many upperclassmen are starting on defense right now? And this was 2 years ago.
Right.
I said there was one upperclassman starting on that Western Kentucky on the defense of that homecoming at Western Kentucky. It was Raekwon Williams, who was a junior at the time. He was the only upperclassman.
I remember going through the depth chart and looking at the 2 deep and how many upperclassmen we had on the 2 deep, not just starting, but even on the 2 deep. It was very limited.
And then Western Kentucky had that stacked, Brom coach team.
Mike White,
and so this is kind of flipped, but hopefully I I don't know about the North Texas thing. I know a lot of people said their momentums. We'll talk about that quickly next week. But short weeks on the road get really tricky. So
it's a Thursday night game. I hate Thursday night games, especially away. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the defense because I think that they, yes, there was a lot of concerns. But again, Oklahoma, a high school run offense in Air Force and UCF, right? So, yeah, there's going to be inconsistency there. But every game, I would say that the pressure or the ineffectiveness of the defense was a direct result of the ineffectiveness of the offense, because there were so many times where the offense, they turned the ball over, bad special teams play where the defense was starting on their side of the field.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll get a chance to go and see what the average starting field position for the opposing team is. But the defense, especially La Tech, you give up 21 points. I mean, really 14 if you think about it, without that last touchdown.
The short punts against Middle Tennessee, going for it on your 11. I mean, this is a defense who, if you really start to pick apart some of those things, how many just long drives have they given up for touchdowns?
And if they have, they've been at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right. After they've been on the field forever.
The worst thing I could – even FIU's 2 scores – FIU had some success early. He's a good quarterback. The guy was really accurate on third down. People were like, early when the game was close, they were converting some 3rd and 8s, and he was just putting the ball in a good spot. And we played a ton of man coverage. I really, I think Tony Peck really thought our guys could match up with them. We got beat on some plays. I mean, some of the plays, both of FIU's touchdowns are just. You can't ask the corner to do anything more.
Throws.
They're perfect throws and great plays. You're just going to lose that. Same thing with the last touchdown against Louisiana Tech. You go to your corner and say, "Hey, good coverage." Mm-hmm. Most people in the country aren't going to make that connection. Just play the odds. Just keep covering like that. And I feel bad. Shelton Lewis is on the back end of a lot of these, and I'm like, probably going to be like, "Oh, what am I doing wrong?" But it's just kind of bad luck. But they've played great.
Got to give them credit. The third down conversions, they converted over half, I want to say, especially in the first half. So the defense really couldn't get it going until the FAU offense really started to put on a show in the fourth quarter.
And that's when the turnovers came. Everyone's been kind of asking where the turnovers are. And I think –
and pressure from the defensive line.
Yeah, and I think it's just teams – you're in close games, they feel they can play safe against you because they don't feel you're going to score. So when they feel they can play safe, it's hard to force turnovers that way.
Last year, I think we had so many turnovers because the opposing team's offense there was so much pressure to get positive plays, to keep the FAU offense off the field, to score more, because it was just bang, 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 and we'd score. So then the quarterback rushes a throw, tries to squeeze something in that it shouldn't have, and then, ball gets tipped, interceptions galore. And also we still had a good defensive line last year.
And I think we did get a little – that game was really hairy from going the way of the other games. FIU did drop a wide-open touchdown the first series of the game.
The fumble on the goal line as well.
I really wonder – where that game goes if Lane doesn't go for on the 4th and 11. And I know people are getting annoyed by it. I don't care if Lane goes for it on our own 1.
No, not at all.
In goal. Like if it's 4th and goal from our own 1, I don't really care. You love it when he gets it. I love the aggressiveness. There's this whole old I like challenging it, and there's this. And I remember reading this long article a long time ago about this coach in high school football that never punts. He's an Arkansas coach, won a ton of state titles, and he's basically challenging the math on going for it and the results, and is the field position really worth it? It's kind of like using the analytics that we use so much in baseball or the 3-point play in the NBA. It's just it's a riskier play, but, you go 6 of 10 from 3 compared to 8 of 10, from what works out, from under the basket, what works out to more points.
And the fact of the matter is, if you can't gain 1 or 2 yards on 4th and short when you need it on a poor rushing defense like FIU, then do you deserve to win in the first place?
Also, think about the 4th down that DeAndre that he converted running. He lined up under center. Thank goodness we didn't run a QB sneak, because the play would have been blown up at the line.
Yeah.
And again, this is having somebody as fast as DeAndre easily outran the linebackers and corners to the edge and picked up 3 or 4 yards. So that was nice. Again, that we were able to get some confidence going there. That was a good play. If we're not going there, he had multiple options where he could have thrown it, and also because of where we were on the field, the whole right side of the field was open, and then you're asking one of the fastest players, certainly on FAU and maybe the conference, to have to outrun a linebacker or defensive end. Yeah, we're going to win that most of the time.
I think let's not
make that play.
What?
Do any of you guys think Chris could make that play?
I don't know.
Right now.
It's hard to tell. I don't know. Chris's speed is kind of weird. His running, he's not that weird. He's not that frame isn't that big yet. I can't. The Middle Tennessee had that one play where it looked like he showed some wheels. I don't think he trusts his running ability so much yet. I don't know if that's weird. Just from watching him, I think he's a little faster than maybe more athletic than we perceive, but. I think there's sometimes it's just like, dude, just take off. He's kind of like a long strider, but I think he's fine. Again, I just think he's thinking too much. It's, the 4th downs. It's like he knows not to throw the ball away on 4th down, but it's the ton of stuff going on. He's trying to get it correct instead of just playing ball. We've seen him when he's just relaxed, having fun, and he makes great throws. But we'll see what happens this week. Walty made a great point on the forum where he said, let's see what people prepare. Right? FIU is at the best. I mean, Western Kentucky is the best example. Let's see how people prepare for DeAndre.
Yeah. And let's see how the defense shows up, because we were talking about how, maybe our defense last year got a lot of turnovers and did so well because teams felt pressure to put points on the board. We're more athletic than Western Kentucky is. We can put up more points in Western Kentucky 9 days out of 10. Let's see if we pressure them early. If we pressure them early where they start to get nervous, oh my God, we have to put up points right now to come back. Can the defense have another solid outing? Can they create some turnovers, get some sacks, do everything that they used to do last year? I think it's a good possibility that can happen. If DeAndre comes in and we run the same offense we did in the 4th quarter against FIU, I don't see why not.
We'll see. I'm really curious. I think Lane's just going to kind of play it by the hot hand. Lane has always said he's not been a favorite 2-quarterback system. I can't even think where he really did that at Alabama. It seems like something the old. I can't. No, Nick would never let that fly. But I think Lane's a very big, doesn't want the quarterback looking over the shoulder type guy. And let's also see how DeAndre plays. I think there's maybe the one question. If DeAndre does finish the season strong, and maybe we kind of let's just say we win 2 of the last 3, go to a bowl, win a bowl game, maybe lose a close one up at North Texas. Do you really go, and the offense kind of looks back to normal? Do you really go, man, Lane? You missed on 2 quarterbacks starting the year. Someone asked me about it, and and I said it's early. I've always said it's really hard. Quarterback's position, you don't really know how it is till the lights go on. Walty asked me about it, and I said, you know what? Brian Kelly stuck with Wimbush for 16 games until he was like, well, Ian Book, I think it's hard to pull that trigger, with the quarterback. I think you can only see so much of practice. It's just one of those type of positions that you can't really tell until the lights go on.
Yeah, until they get live
No.
action. So, I mean, we saw that with Parr last year, who looked great, or looked better than Driscoll in the offseason. Then when it came to playing against Navy, you know, obviously we had DeAndre in as well for a little bit, but when he came against Bethune-Cookman, he's forcing way too many throws.
What did Ken say? When he asked Lane when they decided they were going to start Driscoll against Buffalo, and Ken's like, you know, do you like ask Lane at the beginning, like, do you have faith in Driscoll? And Lane said, you know, Ken said it here on the podcast. Lane said, "We'll see."
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, like,
that could have been the same thing.
Yeah, like I think it's hard to tell. You know, so I don't know. Let's Khalil Tate, who's been banged up this year, didn't win the starting job out of camp.
Yeah. After all that Heisman hype as well.
No, not this year. No, I'm not talking about this year.
Well, this year he hasn't done well either.
Well, he's been hurt.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's been playing on a bum ankle all year. They try and rest him a game. They bring him back. It's taped. He's had a high ankle sprain that just won't go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's his season.
But yeah, again, I think you know, one thing to keep in mind. Johnson certainly doesn't have you know, last year having the blood clots could have impacted his arm strength. I don't think he has quite the arm strength, but again, he doesn't need to be a cannon back there. He needs to basically make the open read and keep the offense flowing. If a play breaks down, he can get you 3 or 4 yards better than PV or Robinson can. So,
or just the threat of his run.
I think that played a lot into. That's what opened things up.
Yeah, Lane said, you know, Chris wasn't a threat to pull the ball. I don't think FIU is respecting it. And they put him in, and he pulls the ball. Like I said, he goes, he shot out of a cannon. First, I think he broke the huddle on that read option going, Motor,
I'm taking this.
Like, you know, like, I'm pulling this one, and they're just, I'm going to run. And it looked like he shot out of a cannon. I'm like, whoa, that's a different quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, the first drive with him in there, we didn't throw the ball at all. It was 8 plays. What was it, 75 yards, all on the ground?
Yeah,
he only had 4 or 5 passes. I mean, it's
people forget that, like, if you go back and look at all those Baylor offenses, they ran the ball 65 to 69% of the time.
Yeah.
Even in the, you know, all those years they had they were scoring 60 points a game in the Big 12. They were doing it running the ball. It's a running offense. It's shotgun triple option.
It sounds like me in NCAA 14.
I think we're 100% going to win 2 of these next 3. I think we're going to go bowling. I don't really see – I know some people are like, Charlotte's playing better. Their defense is good. But I really think if it came down to us going bowling at home –
Yeah. Yeah, I think by that point we'll be okay. And again, the biggest test is going to be, you know, well, we're kind of, you know, us as fans, we can look past Western Kentucky. The team can't, but us as fans can. You know, looking to North Texas, but
then again, we know nothing on here. You know, every time I guess in college football, I end up scratching my head. So
yeah, so hopefully, you know, hopefully this Saturday we can build on things, and who knows, maybe we can end the season 4 wins straight. Hopefully we'll get to there. But
homecoming, good vibes.
Homecoming, and yeah. So do you guys have anything else you want to add? Congratulations to the FAU men's basketball team.
Big time win over Florida Tech, even in their D2. Thanks to the plug there, Dan. The team looked good, dude. Dusty May first win as a head coach. That's awesome.
Good thing we didn't play Lynn again. That was
good thing. Cool. Something that was really neat to see was that this team was just a lot of fun to watch. They're passing the ball well, taking up some sexy shots. Half court play is fun to watch. The fast break was fun to watch. Jalen Ingram went off in the second half, which was nice. I was critical of him after the loss to Lynn. We talked about Michael Forrest, the kid from Broward County who got Broward County Player of the Year, but we haven't really talked about Kevon Ellis, the Canadian true freshman. Dude only saw like 8-10 minutes of playing time, I want to say, and had 12 points. Made most of his field goals. He looked pretty good. So congrats to Dusty May. And them, it's just been a week of beating Panthers. The volleyball team beat FIU. Women's soccer team closed the regular season by beating FIU. Football team in the Shula Bowl, and now the Florida Tech Panthers went down to the basketball team. So we're the cat killers all week long.
I don't know exactly. I did just from following the Twitter accounts. I mean, we can just talk about our broader thing. It does seem that some of the FAU, some of the more sports teams are performing well. I know the women's volleyball team is having a good year within conference. The women's soccer team won a share. It seems like a lot of these smaller.
FAU ice hockey is doing well.
Yeah, the club hockey team's doing well. We don't give enough of a shout out to the club hockey team. But yeah, Shane, you're right. The women's soccer team got a share of the regular season title. So they lost in the semis, but still a great year. Coach Baker got Coach of the Year in Conference USA. Volleyball team is doing well. They're going to finish top 4 in a really competitive Conference USA. Men's soccer team was a bit disappointing, but they're still trying to build a culture over there after firing Coach Koss. A lot of their losses were close, including losses to nationally ranked teams, including some of the top 10. So, you hit the nail on the head, dude. Things are looking good as an athletics program for FAU, whether it has to do with Brian White coming in, President John Kelly, just a change of culture with athletics, change in facilities. Who knows? But it's a nice change of pace, man. It really is.
Yeah, I think there's a big thing after this week. We're not FIU. Because, outside of Butch Davis just being a cranky little girl, he didn't get the job over Mark Rick, who's struggling, and landing at FIU. I mean, there's nothing going on there. So,
other than their men's soccer team is really good.
They lost to.
But I digress.
Their men's soccer team lost in the semifinals today.
You know what? A lot of big major schools, especially within the state, do not play men's soccer. I'm not going to get critical of it.
I know.
Sometimes I look at the men's soccer team and I go, damn, that's our track program. I wish we had.
Yeah.
We
get some great football players that way.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Yeah, the Southeast really isn't big for men's soccer. It's always been more of a women's soccer hotbed. But instead of thinking, this could be a program that we could cut because it's useless, why not? This could be a program that we could invest in and, make ourselves.
I think it's good because it's a niche growing sport. I just getting way off topic here, but and how soccer comes up through this country and how it becomes pros and how Americans see it. It's not nobody goes through the college system. So it's just kind of very different. So I think it's hard for Americans to grasp. And I just want
to are soccer fans who are very disappointed in the United States Soccer Federation, and we could spend a whole hour-long podcast talking about how much
absolutely not. No,
but it's every team in the state of Florida is pretty solid. FIU, traditional powerhouse. USF, great team. UCF just won the regular season American. FGCU has a gorgeous facility in Fort Myers. That's really the extent of it, but
yeah. So that's it.
And then we have us. We just got off.
We got to share a conference with Akron and Kentucky because no one else plays it. So,
yeah.
All right.
We're getting way off topic here.
Yeah, but in the end, FAU Athletics is performing better. I think just being at FIU and just comparing it to game days and stuff, we have a long ways to go. We've had our gripes about it, but we're considerable amount of steps ahead of them. Yeah.
So, I guess that will wrap things up for Shula Bowl celebration 2018, and hopefully next week we'll be back going over another Western Kentucky Western Kentucky win. So for Shane and Jack, I'm Dan, and we thank you all for being along with us. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at Inside the Burrow. Check us out each individually. We're always tagged and stuff. So, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week. Go Owls.